It is update time on the 20-gallon Reef. It's been a month of a few ups, a few downs, so stay tuned and we'll talk about what's going on. So first up, let's talk about hardware. I did experience a slight hardware glitch in the last month. So if you recall, last month I upgraded my lighting fixture. This is a max spec razor with upgraded lens kit. This is the old lens I'm showing you here. I put the new lens kits in there to give it better spread and replace these old ones. So I was able to get a nice even spread or better spread with it, it looks like. I was real happy with that. But as you know, luck would have it, just a week or two after doing that, the B channel went out on this lighting fixture. So this light has an A channel, which is mainly all the white lights, and a B channel, which is all the blue lights. And for some reason, the B channel just wasn't working anymore. The white was working, but the blues, didn't come on. So I did a little bit of troubleshooting, and it turns out it's a fairly common problem with this model max spec light. This is a few years old now. And it is not unusual for one of the LEDs in the pucks, I think it was one of the UV LEDs or one of them, to burn out prematurely ahead of the rest. And, as luck would have it, if one LED goes out on the channel, they all go out. So if one LED goes out, you lose the entire channel. So that was a bit disappointing. But the good thing is, it was easily repairable. So if you go on to the max spec website, you can buy replacement LED pads. And this one here is one of the old ones. But you basically take out the old one, and there's a new one that gets replaced right in there. That was pretty good, nice and easy to do. But the downside was this lighting fixture is the 16,000 Kelvin model. They discontinued that model a while back and replaced it with a 15,000 Kelvin model. They take, the pads are interchangeable, but since I was only replacing one pad, I didn't want it to be uneven, have two different spectrums on there. So I ended up buying two different pads, or two replacement pads in here. So this is converted to 15,000 Kelvin model now. Honestly, didn't really notice much of a difference with it. I could have probably gotten away with only replacing one, but I did both, so they're brand new LED pads in there now. So it should be good to go. It should last me for a long time now. But that leaves me with one spare working 16,000K module, and I think I might be able to get this working and do something with it. So stay tuned. I might try and, hack something together, maybe get use this as an LED light for my 1.5 gallon Pico tank. So we'll see. But anyway, that's for another story, for another update. So yeah, lighting, had a problem with the lighting, but I got that fixed and it's resolved now, so that's good. Let's see, what else? Oh, inhabitants. So I think on the last update, there were no fish in here. So that's changed in the last month. I now have 5 barnacle blennies in there. There is a cleanup crew consisting of hermit crabs and snails, and there were 2 peppermint shrimps added into there. Unfortunately, one of the peppermint shrimps has just vanished. Don't know what happened to him, never saw a body. So there's still one in there though, and still plenty of the snails and hermit crabs, and of course the 5 barnacle blennies, which I'll show you now. So like I said, there are 5 barnacle blennies, and here was 2 of them there. Looks like they're getting a little feisty. These guys are now inhabiting this little barnacle cluster that I have there. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see them interact, and you can see them battling for, they both seem to like that top barnacle. So they'll kind of go at it all day, trying to get a hold of that one. But they never really do any damage to each other. So that's those 2, and there are a few more in here. You can see there's another one right up there. He hides out behind that frag. There's a little hole there that he hides in. Oh, there's another one right there hiding in the shell. So that's 4 of them, and the 5th one usually is back here. So there he is. So that's all 5 of the blennies accounted for. So they are really entertaining to watch. Really happy to have these guys as part of the tank. So yeah, I do have plans to add 3 Bangai cardinal fish, which I have in quarantine at the moment. So I'm going to keep these guys in quarantine for a few weeks before I let them loose into the 20-gallon. So that was it for the fish, and I don't know if you can see him back there, but there is a peppermint shrimp hiding out behind that rock. Like I said earlier, there was 2 of them, but one completely vanished. No trace of him, never seen a body. So I have no idea what happened to that one, but this one's been in there for a few weeks. He's doing fine. So I'm happy to have him as part of the crew. As far as corals go, the plan was always to cover this Tonga branch in all sorts of little acrofrags and just have them start to grow out and branch out in every direction and kind of have this like a little acro tree. So I've gone ahead and glued a bunch of my frags up onto there now, so hopefully they'll start growing and branching out. So and you do notice there's a lot of frags in there. I did add quite a few. I put a video out a few weeks ago where I had won the 10-pack of frags. So they're all now part of this tank, and luckily they're all still look like they're going strong. So I'm happy about that. And one other bit of good news is that if you notice, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, all of the hair algae that was coating these branches and these barnacles and the rocks is all pretty much gone. So just a few water changes. I've got my little Chaeto reactor going and just manual removal. And luckily it has really, put a dent into the hair algae. It's not completely gone yet. There are still a few spots, such as right there, right underneath that hermit crab. A couple little spots have popped up on the sand bed. So I will have to just get in there and continue to maintain it. But yeah, all of the main hair algae that was all over the place is now gone, so that's good. And I do need to be careful too, because I have these fish in here, and I just cannot help myself throwing food in almost every time I walk past this tank, because they are so fun to watch eat. Which I'll have to do it right now since I mentioned it. I dropped a little bit of flakes in there, and we'll see these guys dart out, grab some food, and then head right back to their little hiding spots. So they're always fun to watch. And I'm probably part to blame for some of the hair algae, because like I said, I've been feeding these guys too much. So I need to cut back on that a bit. Another thing that is nice to see is you can tell there's some coralline algae starting to grow onto the rockwork. It's turning nice and purple. You can see it's on those barnacles. So soon enough, these whole thing should be covered in that nice purple coralline, which I like the looks of that. So I'm happy to see that. Okay, now on to some of the bad news. And I had to turn the lights a little bit more bluer, because that's really where this will show up. And it's something that I just noticed the other day. So this is in one of my acro frags, and if you look really closely, you'll see these little dots on there, what I believe are red bugs. This is something I had never experienced before, but I think you can see, especially, well, it's hard, I'm not gonna be able to really get my finger in here because this is zoomed in. These things are so tiny. But you see these little tiny specks, like little orangish specks on my acro. And I started to notice these on a few of my frags. And I believe that these are indeed red bugs. So if anybody's got any experience with these, let me know, how bad are these little guys? I mean, I have been doing my reading and I do know of some treatments, so I have to figure out, what I'm going to do. But are these things terrible? So I don't know. But I did notice them on a few of the frags. So that's, definitely something going on with that one. And like I said, they're so tiny, and I've got my camera zoomed in so much, so it's a little bit blurry. I don't know how much you'll be able to see. Hopefully it'll focus and you can actually see what I'm talking about. I believe there might be a couple on this one. Not sure. So again, it's not a ton of them, but something I definitely did notice, and they don't seem to be on every one, but definitely something I'm going to have to contend with. So if it's not one thing, it's another. But anyway, not panicking, just need to know, what they are, what I need to do about it, if anything. So, as if that wasn't bad enough, I did notice another pest in here. And this is one that I have experienced before, so I do have a little bit of experience with dealing with it. And I did notice a Montipora eating nudibranch in here. Those are also something that are really hard to find, but I believe I may have them under control now. Generally, you're not even going to know that you have them. You probably won't even see them. But if you do, they are super tiny little white nudibranchs. But what you'll probably notice is some white spots on your Montipora, which is what I started to notice on some of my Monties. Little tiny dead spots. And if you look close enough, if you're lucky, you will find the culprit on there. So what I have found to be an effective way to deal with them is, A, if you see them, just remove them. Simple enough to do. You take the frag out, scrape the little bugger off, and hopefully that's the end of him. Another thing which I have found that seems to work is, if you do notice a part that's damaged from them, I would cut that off and just completely surround the area in super glue. So any little spots where they may have been hiding out would be engulfed in glue, and prevent any remainder, any remaining nudibranchs from escaping and doing any more damage. So that's what I did with them, and I haven't really seen any more damaged areas on those corals, and yeah, hopefully that's them taken care of. And just to let you know, I did dip everything that went into here. Just use your standard coral Rex, and I think I used one from Polyp Lab. But even if you dip stuff, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get rid of everything. Stuff can still slip through the cracks, which apparently happened for me. But you just, one of those things you have to deal with. All right, back to some more good news. So I am seeing growth in a lot of the corals. So right there is my Mystic, Mystic Sunset Montipora. And you can see that was a fresh cut out of my other tank. You can see it's already encrusted onto the frag plug, working its way around, so that's good. Here's a little frag of Jedi Mind Trick, which was completely forgotten about in my main tank. I found this little browned out coral hiding underneath a bunch of other things. So I cut a piece off, put it in here, and you can see it's already starting to color up, get its polyps back. So I'm happy about that. Another one that's growing really fast is this little purple Monty over here. Again, that was a couple fresh cut pieces, and it's completely encrusted onto the rock now, so that's good. That's that Medusa Montipora, I just added that, so nothing really happened with that yet. But you can see these digis are starting to encrust onto the rock work. So some of them are starting to grow, for sure. Some of the Acroporas are definitely starting to encrust out onto the plugs. Another one, this one was also fresh cut just a month ago. It's already encrusting onto the plug. There's little bird's nest has definitely started showing signs of new growth. So in spite of some of the trials, you know, and some of the bad things that have been going on in here, there's plenty of good. So that's always nice to see as well. It keeps you encouraged and keeps you wanting to, you know, even get better. Oh, here's another thing that's new. These are some Cyphastia frags, which came out of the 180. And again, these ones were corals which I had given up for dead. They were just kind of buried under a bunch of other stuff. And I found these tiny little browned out frags, and it turns out that they still had a few polyps on them. I put them in here, and in a few weeks, it looks like they are coming back. The polyps are extending again. They're starting to get their green color back. So I'm excited to bring those back to life. So for filtration, I am still running the first AquaClear filter as my Chaeto reactor, and I have to harvest some of that Chaeto out soon. It's completely packed in there. You can see it's just a dense little brick of Chaeto now. That's working out really well to pull nutrients out of this tank. The second AquaClear 70 is where I have my protein skimmer, which is definitely doing some skimming. Oh, and over here is also where I keep my heater. There's a little heater in there. And then I've got my dosing pump, which I've been using to, you know, obviously dose alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium into the tank. So overall, I'd say it's been a pretty good month for the tank. There are a few setbacks and a few issues that I need to deal with, but overall, I think it's still going in the right direction, and hopefully I will, you know, be able to overcome some of these obstacles with these pests and whatnot. But aside from that, you know, it's the whole point of this exercise was the Nano Tank Challenge, and it's certainly been a challenge. But I'm going to keep at it, and hopefully, you know, this tank is going to really blossom into something incredible by the end of the year. So I guess that's about it for today's update. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you can give me a thumbs up if you like the video, that is very appreciative. Or I'd appreciate that very much. Sorry, getting tongue-tied here. Never know how to end these things. But I just will say thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.